Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader, and I do all things Lenormand on this channel. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so that you're always updated with the Lenormand videos that I put out. Today we are doing another card combinations video, so I'm going to pull two cards out of the deck. We're going to look at what the combination means, and then we're going to do three triplets to deepen the combination. So let's go ahead and fan out our deck. And let's draw two cards. All right, the Book and Sun. Now this is a really beautiful combination. The Book and Sun is all about a revelation, and a revelation that is wonderful, that suggests wish fulfillment, and that brightens our day and our life as a whole. So the book by itself is usually a card of mystery. When the book shows up in a reading, it typically means that there isn't an answer just yet. And this actually happens sometimes. You know, you do a reading and you get the book in a central position in the portrait or in a line. And it basically means that there still isn't an answer. It can also mean that things are still in the making, that they are unrevealed. And of course, it can point to knowledge and learning, research, writing, and anything related to delving into a topic. All of these can be suggested by the book. When we see the Sun, which is an all-around bright card, it is in fact probably the brightest card of the deck, along with the clover. The flowers is also really beautiful, but the Sun is all around powerful in that sense. It really suggests victory, that it has that sense of achievement on a large scale. So when we see it with the book, it clearly points to a very positive revelation. Something that is revealed answers a wish. It can also be really relieving. You know, maybe things were on hold or hidden, and the Sun comes along to relieve us from this mystery. It's also really good with clarifying anything mysterious, anything unknown. Things that were hidden come through. The Sun shines a light on anything that is dark, and it's an all-around powerful card in this sense. So this is a really, really beautiful combination. Wonderful news, wonderful success, wish fulfillment, clarity, revelation, and all around bright things that come into the light. So I think it's a pretty straightforward combination as it stands. I don't think it's complicated to interpret this. And something else that helps in this line here, in this pair, is that the Sun comes after the book. So as you've heard me said before, I tend to read from left to right, where the story unfolds from the earlier phases to the later phases. You don't have to read them in this way, I just do. And so in the context of this method of mine, the Sun coming after the book suggests that there's a revelation. If the book were after the Sun, it can mean that some things remain unrevealed because the book is at the end of the line towards the right. But because the Sun is an all-around powerful card, it probably doesn't affect us in a negative way. On the contrary, there may be a really good reason for that. But it can also mean that there is a revelation nevertheless. So you might find that the order of the cards doesn't matter, and the reason it might not is precisely because the Sun is such a powerfully positive card. So it really overcomes the closure element of the book. And of course, it can also be really positive for all things related to learning, knowledge, the idea of delving into a certain topic, and the idea of researching. All of these can be really well brought up with the Book and Sun, and I would say in any order. So let's go ahead and get into a few triplets now that we've covered the combination. And I'm going to pull any card from the deck, and I'm going to put it on the right here. Oh, wow. Look at this lovely triplet. So really, the clover here doesn't add much more to the line, I would argue. That's because both the clover and the Sun are very powerfully positive cards. And when we have a positive and a positive card together, they sort of just reinforce each other. So this can be a very lucky time when there's a wonderful revelation, wish fulfillment, all around happiness and success are very clearly coming through the sun and the clover. So I would say that the clover just reinforces the message of the sun. This can also be a good luck phase, not just something that is positively revealed through the book, but it can bring about a phase or a period of time that is very blessed and very lucky and also protected. The clover has that element of protection through its association with luck and good fortune. And so in this context, it's not just that there's a wonderful revelation that answers a wish, but there's also a protection element that comes into play, and probably also for a period of time, not just like one single event in one point in time because of the book and the idea of a revelation. And if I switch the cards around, for example, this would be a more curious combination with the book in the middle here. So we've briefly touched on the sun and book. The idea of the clover on the other side of the book, I would say, suggests that things remain unrevealed for some time, but that this might actually be beneficial. There might be a good reason why things are not yet revealed. And of course, the cards can suggest advice, right? So they can advise you to, keep things under your hat for a while, not reveal everything you have in mind, sort of keep your plans to yourself for some time. And there could be a good reason for that because of the clover. Sometimes the clover can be a bit mysterious. In my experience, the clover is very lucky. And it tells us that our life is guided and that there is this sense of good fortune that is working in our life. But in my experience, when the clover pops up, it doesn't always mean that things are going to turn out in the way that we want them to. We might not always know what is the best path for us. And so when the clover comes up, at least in my experience, it tells us that things are going to work out, but not necessarily in the way that we would like them to or that we expect them to. And so with the book, I feel that this idea is reinforced. There is this idea that things turn out for the better, but not necessarily in the way that we were able to predict or forecast or have foresight about, because the book has that mysterious element. And if we switch these around, I feel it would be pretty much the same idea, because both the clover and the sun are very positive cards. I'm not seeing that it would be a very different way of interpreting the cards. So the clover is a lovely card. The sun is a lovely card. These are really two of the most positive cards in the Lenormand deck. And clearly when they come with any card, they will bring their positivity. Specifically with the book, there is this idea of a revelation, or also the idea that if there is mystery in the situation in our life right now, then there's a good reason for it and we need not worry. The clover does have that element of, don't let negativity come in the way, count your blessings type of thing, really focusing on the good in our life. And of course, the sun is also like that. But the clover has that added sense of, you don't have a reason to worry. There's no need to worry. It's a reassuring card that has a protective element. And so it really adds to the positivity of this line. Okay, let's move on to another triplet. I'm going to keep the clover aside and we're going to draw a third card again. Okay, now this is a complete opposite to the clover. The whip is probably the most challenging card of the whole deck, and it's really interesting that we got it because it's in such contrast with the clover and also with the sun. So it's really good for the exercise that we're doing here of interpreting triplets. Obviously, the whip is an all-around challenging card, and with the book, it's going to point to a challenging revelation. So this can mean something negative, something shocking, something that is unexpected. It can also be a major disappointment. It can be something that we didn't think was that bad. It can be any of these. But what's so nice is that the sun on the other side of the book means that this is It can be a number of things again. This turns out for the better. This can be an opportunity for improvement. And it can also point to a resolution of differences. So the whip being a conflict card, with the book here, there can be something that comes up. So the challenge comes to the surface. The differences show through. The conflict can no longer be contained. All of these can be suggested by this combination. But what's really nice is that the sun helps you resolve this. The whip can also be interpreted with the book in a way that is not as challenging. And it can mean, for example, that we have the wrong information, or that we don't have enough information, or that we have knowledge gaps. And all of that is because the book points to knowledge and information. So with the sun, in light of this idea or this way of interpreting the whip and book, the sun suggests that we're able to clarify our doubts, we're able to get the right information and correct the misunderstanding or the lack of knowledge. And so again, the sun has this clarifying effect, this enlightening effect on the line that brings knowledge and clarity and resolves differences and resolves challenges or knowledge gaps. So this is a really beautiful line. Now, if we switch these around, this can sort of muddy the line a little bit. I tend to read the sun as overpowering. I distinguish between cards that are always positive no matter what, and cards that are positive most of the time, but that can be influenced by negative cards. And so I feel in general that the sun is so powerfully positive that it has the ability to overcome a little bit, at least to some extent, the challenges brought by the whip. But sometimes the order of the cards can affect that. And I think it's really important to be flexible with Lenormand, because you're going to have to interpret the cards for a specific question or a specific context or someone who's going through something special to them anyway. So you might as well just keep a flexible mind and make sure that the cards are making sense for this question or for this person that you're reading for. So when it comes to a certain order of the cards, it might make sense to downplay a little bit your general rules, just to, be flexible about how best to interpret the line. And so sometimes the whip on the right-hand side can mean that there is, an obstacle that comes through. And so with something like the sun and book, it might, for example, mean that it is not what you had hoped it is. So the sun and book suggest that you have certain ideas, certain hopes for something, but then the whip comes and sort of messes that up. So it's disappointing, or it's not what you thought it was, and so it challenges you in this way. That's a possible way to interpret the cards. And so this can apply. So this is a really general interpretation, but it can apply in certain contexts. So for example, when it comes to a person, you might have thought that they were nicer than they turn out to be. You might have thought that this relationship has more potential than it turns out that it does. Any number of such scenarios can apply to a relationship. To a job, for example, it might be your dream job, but it turns out to be really stressful. It's very demanding because of the whip. It can also suggest that you thought it was going to be the right job, but then it's disappointing. There are issues, there are problems that need to be solved. When it comes to money, it can point to problems with your budget, because I tend to look at the book in the context of money as anything related to accounting, doing your taxes, anything that needs bookkeeping, and that idea of going through the details. And so with the whip here, there can be some details that come to the surface, and the sun here can suggest that you might have thought that you were going to get a certain benefit, or something was going to work out financially, but then the details come through and it doesn't. It can also point to an expense, Maybe the sun in this sense can mean that you've overspent, maybe you went beyond budget. And I say that because the sun can point to abundance. And so by association, it can mean that you've bought something luxurious, or, you went on a shopping spree or something like that. Normally it would be the flowers card that is more associated or better associated with the idea of shopping and indulging and buying fun things, but the sun might also apply in this context, just to sort of stretch the meaning so it makes sense in the context of money. With health, for example, there can be something that comes up where we thought that healing was completed or there was going to be improvement, but then there's an issue that pops up again, or that there's another issue that comes to the surface. With the book in the context of health, I tend to see it as digging into a certain condition, doing tests, researching what the issue is about. And so with the book here, it can mean that there's an issue that comes up. The whip also has an aggressive side that asks us to be more proactive. So if we had been neglecting something or denying something or not wanting to look into something because the book is closed, then the whip might tell us to shake ourselves out of this and be willing to dig into it. So it can have that kick you in the butt, get to work type of energy, type of suggestion. And so in the context of the sun and book, it could be telling us that we really need to get our head out of the ground and really look into the details and be willing to see what is hidden here. So it can be requiring our courage or demanding some effort on our part to really be willing to look at things honestly and squarely. I think that's a possible suggestion coming through the cards. Let us switch around the order. I think having the book, sun, and whip doesn't really change what I've said so much. I think the sun being closer to the whip might lessen the impact of the whip, but I still think that because the whip is on the right-hand side of the line, it can suggest challenges that come up, or it dampens a little bit our hopes. And so you see there's a bit of an interplay here between the sun and whip. And the reason is because the whip is the most challenging card of the deck and the sun is one of the most positive cards of the deck. So you see there's a bit of a tug here, but what ends up happening is that they dampen each other out a little bit, and so they lessen both of their energies. So again, I don't feel that putting the sun in the middle and the book on the left changes what I've just said. I think the whip continues with this idea of a challenge coming up, but the sun also helps us through and also helps us clarify matters, even if they're a bit challenging. Okay, let's move on to a third triplet. So I'm going to put the whip aside and I am going to draw one more card for a third triplet. Let's take this card here. Let's put it on the right. A man. Okay, so a person card. I think the same idea would apply if it were a woman or the dog or any other card that you want to use as representing a person. Clearly, the man and book points to someone we do not know. Or it can suggest someone who is a bit mysterious and who is not revealing their feelings or their thoughts. So they can be someone who's reserved, and it would apply to whatever person card is here, not just the man. To have the sun on the other side of the book will most probably confirm that this person reveals their thoughts, reveals their feelings, or it is someone that we get to know. So if this is a person whom we don't know yet, with the sun, we get to know them. And on top of that, the sun suggests that it's a wonderful relationship that could come through, or that we're really happy to meet this person, or that we're really impressed with this side of them, or the side of themselves that they reveal. And it could also mean that they reveal something that we really wanted to hear or wanted to know. The man and book can also mean that they bring us answers. So for example, in the context of work, they could be someone who offers us a job. He could be someone who comes back with good news. Any any number of scenarios are possible, with the main idea being that this person here reveals wonderful news to us. The same would apply with money. It's really good with money, very good news about money. It's also applicable to knowledge and information. In this sense, the man and book probably, along with the sun, probably suggests someone who is really knowledgeable, who has lots of valuable information to share with us. And so we would do well to be open to what they have to share, because probably it's going to help us through and maybe even help us achieve some goals. So very good for knowledge and information, and someone who is supportive in this way. Let's switch around the order of the cards a little bit. I think that if we had the man in the middle, pretty much the same interpretation can apply, because the sun helps reveal whatever is in the book. You know, having the man on the other side of the book doesn't really make a difference, because it would also suggest that this is someone who comes through, and who comes through as someone supportive, or we're impressed with who they are or what they have to share. All of these would apply. If we move the book to the end of the line, I feel that it's possible that mystery is still hanging in there, because the book is on the right hand side, so it's not like it is opened up through the sun. But still, you know, the sun in the center of the line probably enables us to see through whatever the mystery is hidden by the book, or that it does end up opening up the book, even if the book is on the right hand side of the line. And that's because the sun being in the middle of the line has quite a lot of impact on the line. Often the central position of a card, whether it's in a line or in a portrait or in a grand tableau, the central cards, they tend to have quite a bit of impact on the line. They tie the combinations together. You know, they're at the heart of the reading. They tend to focus the theme. So I feel that the sun in the middle still enables us to open up the book here and reveal whatever wonderful news it's about to share with us. And it's great with knowledge, with information. It certainly affects the man in a very positive way, so it confirms that this is someone supportive. And the idea of knowledge can continue to come through here because of the book. So really, any way we look at this line, it is looking positive. This man is supportive, and there could be a happy revelation or some wonderful knowledge and information that is shared. So these are my 3 triplets and my card combination for the month. Stay tuned to our social media channels so that you can, share more ideas about these combinations. The main one being here, it was the book and sun. That's how we originally got the combination. And these are the 3 triplets we combined this pair with. So let me know your thoughts about this combination and these triplets. Let me know if you would interpret them differently. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts about this. And again, follow me on social media so we continue the conversation about the different combinations on there. And I also want to remind you to check out my other resources, the master courses, the certification program, and the master guides. All of them are there for you to help you master Lenormand. So until we meet again, thank you so much for watching, and take very good care of yourself.